Today I am discussing the GST important issues and changes that has taken place from the past 3 months or 6 months, say, and what is the taxpayer has to do, take care of all those things. A lot of changes have been made in the last quarter of 20 and also budget 21 also. So I am just taking important issues that is very important from the point of taxpayer, registered taxpayer. And if anything is there that is going to affect our functioning, etc., who are dealing with the GST. Not only the taxpayer and also the professionals who are practicing GST, indirect taxation. So I have noted down some of the important things that is to be taken into consideration, the changes that is going to be there. So now I'll start presenting myself. Recent changes in issues. GST, etc. What are the changes I have summarized? Number one, procedure. The new system of QRMP scheme has been introduced. That is going to be there. And then with regard to the compliances returns, then input as credit, both availment as well as the utilization also. And if any other legal issues. So first I will discuss important changes and start presenting to you. Number one, QRMP. CBIC has introduced quarterly return filing and monthly payment. QRMP means quarterly returns, monthly payment scheme under the goods and GST. This is a very, very important area for the small taxpayers. Say SME or MSME. To help the taxpayers whose turnover is less than 5 crores. And then the QRMP scheme allows the taxpayer to file GST or 3B on a quarterly basis, but payment has to be made on a monthly basis. So there may be some confusion because even though the quarterly returns are allowed for this category, but payment has to get, the government has to get payment, so monthly payment has to be made. So that is known as the QRMP scheme, quarterly return and monthly payment scheme. Who are eligible? A registered person who is required to furnish a return in form GST or 3B. All the people have to file GST or 3B. And who has an aggregate turnover of 5 crores rupees in the preceding financial year can opt for QRMP scheme. Eligible for QRMP scheme. It is only an optional scheme announced by CBIC for the purpose of easy compliance and also reduce the compliance part on the MSME or SME sectors. Further, in case the aggregate turnover exceeds 5 crores during any quarter, this is because it is a quarterly returns and monthly payment, the registered person shall not be eligible for the scheme from the next quarter. That is the problem. So he has to take care that at any time the turnover should not exceed 5 crores. So a planning is required before opting for the scheme. Because in any quarter, if the financial year, if the turnover exceeds 5 crores immediately, from the next quarter he is not eligible. So this is on a quarterly basis monitoring, etc. So this is known as a QRMP eligibility for all the persons who have registered, and the turnover criteria is 5 crores in the previous year. That is for the purpose of April, May, June. And then again, April, May, June also should be taking into consideration also. So at any time, the turnover should not be more than 5 crores so that you will continue to function under QRMP scheme. A registered person who I have already told you the scheme is an optional scheme, not a mandatory or a compulsory scheme. A registered person who intends to file his GST or 3B quarterly should indicate the same on GST. He has to go to the portal. There is an option immediately, it will appear on that. Then you have to say yes. You have to accept that from the first of the second month of the preceding quarter until the last day of the first month of the quarter for which subsection is agreed. That means on a quarterly basis. Until the last day of the first month of the quarter for which such option is being exercised. For example, I have already given the example. If A wishes to file quarterly returns for the quarter of January, February, March 21, he should opt for quarterly filing on the common GST portal between 1st November 20 and 31st January 2021. So November, December, January, 3 months time will be there for opting for scheme. Just to clarify that how the option has to be exercised, I have given that. So like that, there will be time for 3 months for exercising the option on a quarterly basis. As already told you, the 5 crores limit if it is increased in any quarter and the next quarter, you will have to become out of this quarterly payment scheme, quarterly filing and monthly payment scheme. Again, giving some more examples also. Once the registered person has opted for quarterly filing, you will have to continue to furnish his return every quarter only. 3B. A summary return, GSTR 3B is required to file on a quarterly basis. And for future tax periods also, except in the following situations. What is the situation? Let us now see what is that going to happen. Okay. So if the taxpayer becomes ineligible for furnishing a quarterly return, that means at any time, if the aggregate turnover crosses rupees 5 crores during the quarter, then from the next quarter, you will not be able to file quarterly returns. So I have already clarified on this issue. So at any time, he has to monitor that the turnover limit should not cross 5 crores. Then he will continue to be quarterly returns only. So on any time, if the turnover exceeds, then he will lose the benefit of quarterly returns. A registered person will not be eligible to opt for furnishing quarterly returns if the last return, which was due on the day of exercising such option, has not been furnished. If he has not furnished the option, then he is not eligible. He has to furnish the option. For example, if the person is opting quarterly return GSTR 3B, filing on 1st December 20, he will need to furnish GSTR 3B return for October 20, which would have been the last return due on the date of exercising the quarterly filing return. I hope it is clarified now for the month of December like that. Returns. The taxpayer has to follow the above procedure to opt for the quarterly return GSTR 3B. However, the GST in case of registered person falling in the category specified in the table below, who have furnished their GSTR 3B return for October 20 by 30th November, it shall be deemed that they have opted monthly or quarterly filing. So option is required to be exercised. Now I am giving details. Please see that class of registered persons, deemed option. What is the deemed option? I'll tell you. Registered individuals with an aggregate turnover up to 1.5 crores who have furnished GSTR on quarterly in the current financial year. Quarterly return GSTR 3B only. It is already existing also, already came into existence also. Then the second one, the registered persons with an aggregate turnover up to 1.5 crores. First one is the up to 5 crores. Then second one up to 5 crores, who have furnished GSTR on a monthly current financial year. You will have to file monthly GSTR 3B. Already it is functioning now. It has already come into effect also in all my claims. That is the second one. Then third option, the registered persons having an aggregate turnover exceeding 1.5 crores and up to 5 crores in the preceding financial year, quarterly GSTR 3B. You just see the second one. Even the registered person aggregate turnover up to 5.4, we have furnished GSTR 1 in a monthly current year financial year. He has to continue to file monthly GSTR 3B only. But in the next case, registered persons having an aggregate turnover exceeding 1.5 crores and up to 5 crores in the preceding financial year, he is required to file quarterly return GSTR 3B. Summary. Then another facility system has been introduced, that IFF, invoice furnishing facility, has been introduced. The taxpayers who are opted for the QRMPs can use the invoice furnishing facility. This is also option, I'll tell you. Otherwise, manually can also be entered, say, invoices, which allows quarterly GSTR1 filers to upload their invoices every month. Once the automatically invoice facility is taken, invoice will be automatically uploaded to GSTR1. One should keep the following points in mind before utilizing the IFF, invoice furnishing facility. Invoice facility, again also it is an option also. Then the facility can be utilized only for the first 2 months of the quarter. This is very clear. You have to be careful also. Next, the invoices relating to the last month of the quarter are to be uploaded in the GSTR1 return only. See, understand that. If the person opt for invoice furnishing facility, first 2 months automatically, but the last quarter he has to do it in GSTR1 only. Invoices relating to the last month in a quarter are to be uploaded in the GSTR1 return only. So please keep this. This is a very, very important thing, that the person who is opting for QRMP scheme as well as invoice furnishing facility. Next, there's no requirement to upload invoices in GSTR1 if the same has been uploaded in IFF. That is the advantage for the taxpayers. Once the option is there, invoicing furnishing facility, there's no need again to furnish the invoices in GSTR1, except for the first one, that is the last month only. For the 2 months, again, he need not upload the invoices. Automatically, it gets populated in GSTR1. The taxpayer has to submit B2B invoices, details of sale transactions, both interstate and intrastate, along with the debit notes and credit notes of the B2B invoices relating to during the month only. So you have to be, all B2B invoices has to be uploaded in during the same month. Submit B2B invoices, details of transactions. Next one, the total net value of invoices that can be uploaded is restricted to 50 lakhs per month only. This also you have to keep it in mind. The total net value of invoices, that can be uploaded is restricted to 50 lakhs per month only. Month, because 50 lakhs is limited, because total turnover is 5 crores. So most of the time, all the people will have only less than 50 lakhs only. Because if it exceeds 50 lakhs, it may cross 5 crores also. So that is why this has been made like that. The details submitted in invoice furnishing facility will be reflected in GSTR 2A, GSTR 2B, GSTR 4A or 6A, because they are the different persons also of the recipients, as the case may be. Automatically, once the invoice furnishing facility is opted, it will reflect in 2A, 2B and 4A and 6A of that. 4A and 6A, that is the composition scheme, etc. Those people. So the facility introduced from January 21. This facility has been made effective from January 21. QRMP, quarterly return, monthly payment. The taxpayers is required to use the challan also. Format is given is also GST PMT 06 by the 25th of the following month. This is another advantage. Otherwise, normally what will happen? 20th is general due date. 22nd for the already people who are opting for quarterly payment. Now it has been made as 25th of the following month for the first and second months of the quarter. First and second months is 25th. The taxpayer can pay their monthly tax liability either in the, these are two systems have been introduced. This will be confusing also, but you have to understand that. One is a fixed sum method, also popularly as 35% challan method or self-assessment method. This can be opted depending upon the amount of liability that is there. What is this fixed sum method, FSM or 35% challan method? The taxpayer must pay an amount of tax mentioned in a pre-filled challan in the form of GST PMT 06 for an amount equal to 35% of the tax paid in cash. You have to use that C. Input tax credit and all those things will come here. So 35% of the tax paid in cash, he has to use the challan PMT 06 on a monthly payment. That is the fixed sum method. Challan in, because automatically it generates immediately, has to go and pay the amount. For an amount equal to 35% of the tax paid in cash. Details. Who furnishes GSTR 3B quarterly for the last quarter? Again, I am more clarifying again that system. 35% of the tax paid in cash in the preceding quarter. That is this is fixed sum method. Then who furnishes GSTR 3B on a monthly during the last quarter? Full amount has to be paid, 100% of tax paid in cash in the last month of the immediately preceding quarter. Because most of the time people are using less than 5 crores, they are not eligible for any input tax credit except some cases only. Those who are opting for that, they will not be eligible for any input tax credit. So as a result of that, most of the time, electronic credit ledger has to be used for payment of tax only. So GSTR 3B monthly, they have to pay full tax cash in the last month of the immediately preceding quarter. Next is the self-assessment method. This is the existing method where a taxpayer can pay the tax liability by considering the tax liability on inward and outward supplies and the input tax credit available. Inward and outward, because inward what I am talking about that the reverse charge mechanism. The taxpayer has to manually arrive at the tax liability for the month and has to pay the same in form GST PMT CS6. Then for ascertaining the amount of ITC available for the month, the taxpayer can use form GSTR 2B. GSTR 2B, I will explain it also. 2A, 2B, again I will discuss about that. That is the eligibility for availing the input tax credit, GSTR 2B, I will just discuss it later. So, ascertaining the amount ITC available in the GSTR 2B. All the queries I will take up together and I will answer that at the end of that. So in between, if I start asking each and every query, I will reply all those things later. Okay. This is anyway, Shilpa Prasad, 108 onwards, section 109 onwards of the Finance Act 21 shall come into a force after the Gazette notification. Section 110 of the said Act provides omission of section 35(5). So till now, no Gazette notification. Yeah, I will clarify it later. I will talk about this later. Then come to CMA Dilip Patija. I have opted for QRMP in March 21, but due to COVID, could not file 3B. If you don't file 3B, there is a late fee interest and all those things. I will show you that slide also. So once you have opted for, you are required to comply with Dilip Patija. I will show you what are the late fee and all those things is to be paid. No problem at all, but you have to pay the late fee also. And also, if monthly payment is not made, you have to pay interest at 18%. That is already there existing. That will continue to be there also. Anyway, I'll show you that also afterwards. Okay. Then continue with that. For ascertaining the amount ITC available, GST or 2B, I'll discuss again. There are certain instances where no amount may be required to be deposited, such as once people are asking for a query, please wait for that. Once I complete all those things, you may get clarification also. You may get clarifications also. Later also, if you still also, I will devote some time for all the clarifications which is sent to my WhatsApp number. I will reply it also. Okay. So there are certain instances where no amount may be required to be deposited, such as for the first month of the quarter, where the balance in the electronic cash ledger, credit ledger is adequate for the tax liability of the said month, or where the tax liability is nil. You have to always monitor the electronic credit ledger and cash ledger also for the purpose of payment of tax. Then for the second month of the quarter, where the balance in the electronic cash or credit ledger is adequate for the cumulative tax liability for the first and second months of the quarter, or where the tax liability is nil. This is, you have to understand that. I think just now I replied also for query also. So this clarifies the query asked by Dilip Batija. Dilip Batija has asked about this. So I think hope I have clarified now. Again, I will clarify also again the same thing. So it is to be noted that either see all these things depends upon what scheme you are, fixed sum method or self-assessment. Two things. So depending upon the method that you are opting for payment of tax, then the liability arises like that. Next, it is to be noted that a registered person will not be eligible for the said procedures unless he has furnished the return for the complete tax period preceding such month. A complete tax period is a tax period where the said person is registered from the first until the last day of the tax period. Normal, what is the tax period in GST? Tax period is always a month in GST only. So this is going to be applied for the purpose of payment of tax under self-assessment method. So again, I'm going back. Then FSM method and fixed sum method, 35% is easy, but monitoring is to be required also. Then under the self-assessment, this is going to be there. Continue with that. The interest will be applicable, Batija. Now, I told you also. I have clarified just now the Batija. So the interest will be applicable as follows if the taxpayer opts for self-assessment method only. There the 35% fixed sum method, there is no problem at all. If the person opts for self-assessment method, the taxpayer has to pay interest at 18% on the net tax liability, which remains unpaid or paid beyond the due date for the. See, Batija's query is very clear now. Batija has asked, I have opted for QRMP in January, March 21, but due to COVID, he has not filed GSTR 3B. See, filing the GSTR 3B is different, but payment has to be made. If the payment is not made on a monthly payment, you are liable to pay the interest at 18%. So this clarifies your doubt so far as the, even though see, because of the COVID, the government still has not made any notification not to pay the tax at all. Government has to get money. So under the circumstances, whatever it is there, if the COVID is there, business is not there, not payable at all. So under the self-assessment method, one has to pay the interest at 18% on the net tax liability, which is remains unpaid. I hope it is clarified for that Batija's query. That is about that. Next, it is important to note that the taxpayer has to pay interest at 18% if there is any late payment of tax. This I already told you. I will get clarify all those things. So this is applicable irrespective of the fixed sum method, popularly known as 35% challan method or self-assessment method. Please note that this is very, very important. So anybody, I am talking about, he is asking COVID and all those things, but COVID also, government will never say don't pay because of the COVID and all those things. COVID, you may not be able to do the business, but still on the COVID situation, government still not made anything on the GST so far as the notification is there and all those. So as it stands today, either on the fixed sum method or on the self-assessment method. If there is late payment, not filing also, late fee involves also. I will show you the late fee also. Then interest also applies. He is liable, everybody is liable to pay interest if there is any late payment of tax. Once you see, if you are not filed GST or 3B, that is a quarterly return. But payment has to be made, that is the importance of QRMP method. Payment must be made on a monthly payment. If that is not there, automatically it results in a interest liability and late fee also, which you are going to, I will show you later. So this is about the two methods under QRMP method. QRMP, that is quarterly returns, monthly payment method. Now due dates also under QRMP methods also. GST registration in states and union territories, due dates. That is, see, there are specific states also, northeastern states mostly, and also general states, northeastern states. This is already there from last year. COVID-19 started in the 2020 also. Same thing was also now under QRMP, the due dates have been fixed like that. Earlier it was there also. Then again, QRMP is a fixed due dates for the purpose of registration. Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Dadra, general states, Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Goa, Lakshadweep, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, 22nd of the month succeeding such quarter, due date for, that is that. Filing GST or 3B on a quarterly payment. I am only talking about the quarterly returns, not monthly payment. Monthly payment has to be made according to the rules only. Then other states, Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Chandigarh, Uttarakhand, Haryana, Delhi, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Mizoram, all northeastern states, 7 states, Manipur, Tripura, Meghalaya, Assam, West Bengal, Jharkhand and Odisha, 24th of the month succeeding such quarter. So under QRMP, because of all those things, whether COVID and also, they were not at the time of making this QRMP, they were not expected that the COVID is going to be very serious in the country. But anyway, it is a blessing in disguise that the government has already made this system so that the small people, the taxpayers, get a better option under this scheme. Now, I am coming to late filing fixed sum method. I hope Mr. Bhatija will note this. He has asked me the query on that late filing because of COVID. He has not filed the, could not file GSTR 3B also. Now you can see now what is the impact of all those things. Under late fixed sum method, the tax liability mentioned in pre-filled GSTR PMT 06 is paid by 25th of the following month. This is already there. If it is 25th, it is paid, nil, interest will not be there. If it is not paid by the 25th of the month, automatically I told you 18% of the tax liability from 26th of the following month till date. Because of this, I want to tell you that till now, the CBIC has not issued any circular regarding the waiver of interest or late fee because of the COVID-19 situation. Because the GST Council has not met after 43rd GST Council meeting. Probably they may meet also, take a decision. But till now, as it stands today, this is the situation so far as the payment of GST liability is concerned to the government. So the tax liability mentioned in free fill GST PMC is not paid. It attracts 18% interest that is continuously be there on a monthly daily basis. You have to calculate that also divided by 365. Always for the purpose of calculating the GST liability, please take 365 and pay along with the payment. Then the final tax liability for the first 2 months, that is under the fixed sum method, is less than or equal to the amount paid through pre-filled, that is 35% challan. In that case, the question of payment of interest does not arise at all. Okay. The final tax liability for the first 2 months is higher than the tax amount paid through pre-filled challan PMT 06. Such excess liability has been paid within the quarterly GST due date. It would already be a GST, because in this case, if the GSTR 3B has to be due date also, that is paid and then question of payment of interest does not arise at all. The final tax liability for the first 2 months is higher than the tax amount liability, because already monthly payment is made, then final liability is higher. Here see the third one and fourth one, that is less than or equal to the amount paid under PF, that is 35% challan. If it is less than that, there is no question of interest payment. But if it is more than that, again 18% of the tax liability attracts interest on the GSTRT due date till the date of payment. The final tax liability in the first, third, and fourth, you please see that. So if you are, the tax liability is less under the fixed sum method, that is the 35% challan method, no need to pay interest or not. But if it is more than the liability, you have to pay 18% irrespective of the GSTR 3B paid. GSTR 3B not filing, that is a late fee. This is for the payment. Interest amount is for the purpose of payment of tax liability. So, and such accessibility has not been paid within the quarterly GSTR 3B due date. If you are GSTR 3B not filed, it is amounts to interest payment also till it is paid. So you have to file 3B irrespective of whatever it is there, and then immediately payment has to be made. And also know that without making the payment, you can't file GSTR 3B also. Without that payment, you cannot file GSTR 3B also in the last quarter. That is automatically system will take care of that. Now I'll come to late fee. In any case, late fee is the maximum of 5,000 rupees only. Name of the act is late fee for every day of delay, late fee for every day of delay in case of nil tax liability. If the nil tax liability 10 rupees, and if there is a delay 25 rupees, CGST 25, SGST 25. If it is IGST, double 50 rupees. In case of nil, 10 rupees, 10 rupees, and 20 rupees. But at any case, depending upon the number of days, if you go on counting the number of days, if the liability exceeds 5,000, the late fee is always restricted to 5,000 only. Maximum late fee payable is only 5,000 rupees. So this is about the late fee for not filing GSTR 3B, irrespective of the COVID-19 situation or whatever it is there. If the GSTR 3B is not filed, you are liable to pay the late fee. Even for a nil GSTR 3B liability, it is there also from 2017 also. Even if a nil pay in GST is late paid, there was a delay also. They used to collect a lot of money also, because the system works, internet works, the entire GST network has to work. So automatically you are liable to pay the late fee also, irrespective of whatever it is. Then some of the issues I will discuss here and that. Whether to opt into QRMP or to continue with monthly returns must be decided for each of the GSTINs of the business. Normally what will happen in business entities, distinct person. I hope you know that in GST there is a distinct person. Same PAN number, different registrations. That is vertical, business verticals, which I am talking to you on business verticals. So in case of a business verticals, that is known as a distinct person. If there is more than one registration, for each of the registration, QRMP monthly is to be decided. Each of the GSTINs of a business, which can be tedious and time consuming. There are some issues also, so you can't help also. So there is a query. This is regarding the query by Bhipavarti. See, if the suppose the default the screen opted for QRMP, how to change the monthly basis? You cannot change, only if at all, if you want to change only monthly in a quarter only. That is number only. On a monthly basis, you cannot change immediately. Only you have to wait for the next quarter. Automatically, you have to do that. Okay. CMA Neeraj Kumar, in QRMP scheme, if we have to unadjust the cash amounts particularly, after then can we use the GST PMT? You cannot see, once you are opted for fixed sum method and the 35% method, you have to continue to that also. See, you in between from this system and the system is not going to be, because it is only not only for the government, also monitoring is very difficult. As a result of that, changeover is not permitted. Shiba Prasar Bharati. 108 onwards, Finance Act shall continue to affect the Gazette notification. We have to wait for Gazette notification. So, if there is a Gazette notification, IDC can be used about that. Applicability as 35.5. 35.5 will discuss it later about discharge of the tax liability. Ravi, if the QRMP is opted for the previous quarter, but 3B not filed due to same, I already answered also this question in regarding to Batijas also. Same ones. Okay, file this quarter. Current. First, you have to file for the quarter which you have defaulted, and then pay the liability late fee, and then continue to file the next quarter also. See, one thing I want to tell you, all my CMA people, once if you have defaulted for any of the GST or 3B which is pending, and you had to pay the late fee for the, you can file it, but next when you file GST or 3B, you have to clear your late fee for the earlier quarter period, and then only will be allowed to file GST or 3B of that. Immediately when you file the GST or 3B, after some time after the due date, it will not ask for the late fee. Late fee will be calculated in the next quarterly monthly, that is written CB. So immediately if you are not filed GST or 3B, it will not ask, but the message will come in the portal. GST or 3B will late fee will appear in the next 3B. So next 3B before filing, automatically challenge generated. You have to pay that amount and make the payment, adjust it, set off has to be done, and then only you will be allowed to file the next 3B. That is the available facilities there as it is in GST portal. This is, I hope you are clarified that. Next, continuing with that, it would help in moving to B2B documents to invoice furnishing facility IFF and the rest directly to the quarterly GSTR1 return. So moreover, the reconciliation between IFF sales register and GSTR1 becomes more essential. Monitoring is very important, my dear friends. Otherwise, it is very difficult to control all those things. See, you have to have a detailed monitoring also. Once you opt for, please understand all the pros and cons of the IFF QRMP scheme. Methods also continue to be there. There should be a consistency. My CMA friends, please understand that you cannot change over from one method to another method in a quarter and all those things. So you have to be firm, and please understand and continue. I hope you will come out of all the problems which you are going to face and all those things. But initially, because the system has been introduced from January, you will have definitely some problems. But still, the CBIC, till it is clarified, you have to face all those things. Yeah, I'm also facing a lot of things also in the QRMP scheme also. So this, I want to make it clear to all the CMA friends. Then, moreover, the reconciliation between IFF sales register and GSTR becomes more always. This is also there from the beginning also. Not only now, GSTR1 register has to be reconciled with GSTR 3B. Otherwise, it creates a lot of problems so far as. So you have to continue to that also. So the taxpayer and the QRMP scheme must choose between two methods for tax payment: fixed sum method or self-assessment method. So once you have choose chosen one method, you have to continue to that also. That is 35 method or self-assessment method. Whichever we want to clear, and that quarter continue to be there also for the whole financial year. In between, one quarter fixed sum method, another quarter self-assessment method will not be possible also. Practically, I'll tell you, it creates a lot of confusion, problem, not only for the taxpayer, even the department also. Because unnecessarily, you may get tangled into legal issues, so getting a notice and all those. So I advise all my CMA friends, once you opted, you have to see. That is why you have to make a perfect plan so far as all these things are QRMP for all the MSME sector as SME sectors. So before doing all those things, study all those things, make some and all those things, and monitor. Then opt for the either of the two methods which is provided for the MSA small taxpayers. That is about the fixed sum or challenge. Once you opt for one method, you continue to be there also. But one thing, because of the COVID and all those things, the question of waiving of the interest or late fee, as it is, there is no notification, and it will have to wait for GST Council to take a decision or the finance minister. Okay, that is about that. Then Continue with that. All the above challenges listed. These are all issues in that. Still, I will tell you, my CM friends, there are a lot of issues also. Not only this, there are so many issues so far as the QRMP scheme is concerned. While sometimes even if you opt for QRMP scheme, it will never show GSTR3B. Once you opt for that, unless you file GSTR1, TB is not appearing on the portal at all. There are so many issues also. I have faced this problem also. So this is about that. Next, continue with that. All the above challenges listed down can be addressed using a single solution, ClearTax. That is a software. I don't want to talk about that. Otherwise, you can go to the portal also. No problem about that. So you have to get clarification under the portal also. So these are all things. This is all auto. There is a general software available. Don't worry about the general software available, but you have to understand and get into details and get solved all those things in the portal itself. So without any, though if you are going to use a ready-made software available in the market, then it will also have a lot of problem also. I don't say all those things about that. Okay. So this is about that QRMP scheme. Continue to that. The invoice furnish facility is a facility where quarterly GSTR1 filers can choose to upload the business B2B. I think I already discussed about this. And then it is governed by Rule 59(2) of the CGST rules, available to regular taxpayers having an annual aggregate turnover of up to 5 crores also. Regular people also can use this. IFF, invoice furnishing facility, not only available to the people on a quarterly return and monthly payment, others also can use the terms. It is an optional again. So non-usage will not attract any late fee also. About this again. The IF is an optional facility. I already told you. QRMP, IFF is all optional. So before exercising the option, you have to study the pros and cons thoroughly, understand the implications and all those things, intricacies. Then all those things will have to be faced because they introduced only new scheme. Anything that is coming to the scheme will also have a practical also issues. Then non-usage will not attract any late fee also. Once you opted for, if you don't use also, there's no question. I mean, because in the invoice facility, you opt it, but if you don't use it also, question of late fee does not arise. Late fee only for the statutory compliance of GST and 3B, non-payment of GST 18% interest. Next, the invoices relating to the last month of the quarter are to be uploaded in the GSTR1 return only. I have already clarified this. First 2 months, invoice furnishing facility automatically it goes into GSTR1, but the last month you have to enter manually. This you have to keep it in mind. First 2 months of the quarter, once you opt for invoice filing facility, it will appear automatically, auto-populated in GSTR1. You need not enter at all. But for the last month, you have to yourself upload the invoices in GSTR1. Then the total value of invoices that can be uploaded for is already discussed earlier also in my slide also about that. Okay. Why this facility? Why this facility? I'll just see one scheme. I don't understand this, Mr. Anil Agarwal. Lock-in period, I don't understand this. There is no question of any lock-in period at all, I'll tell you. Question of lock-in period does not arise at all in this scheme in GST. Okay. Then, if the payment of GST in the first 2 months of the quarter is 35% previous quarter, more than the liability, I already clarified that. If more than 35%, you are end up in paying the 18% interest. If it is less than, no question. Vaidyanathan, how can the company address vendors who are GST defaulters as we rely on them to pay the GST element? That is with regard vendors with regard to input tax credit. That is, I will come to it later. GSTR1, GSTR2A, 2B, I will discuss Mr. Vaidyanathan at that time regarding the vendors. Okay. Next to Venkateshwaralu Dasari, theoretical change over from one system to another term if it is beneficial to government. It is not the question of beneficial to the government, Mr. Venkateshwarlu. It is only helping the small scale sector, SME or MSME sector only. This scheme has been made also. Question of benefit and all those things. Benefit is only for the industry. Please understand that. Only benefit to industry only. So government only, because already I'll tell you, because of 35%, the revenue also it will not be like that. It is only the purpose is only beneficial to the small scale industry and SME sector, MSME sector. This is all that. Now, why this taxpayers whose aggregate turnover is less than 5 crores in the preceding financial year can file GSTR 1.3. We already about this. I have discussed again. However, this creates a problem. What are the issues of IFFL? Then who make purchases from QRMP taxpayers in claiming input tax credit? I hope you have come to the point now with regard to that query. Vendors who are not going to comply with also, vendors also you have to have a same problem also. If you are facing the same problem, vendors also will same problem also. So I will come to GSTR 2A, 2B there. You have to understand all those things for the purpose of filing the input tax credit. This creates problem for taxpayers who make purchases from QRMP taxpayers. Again, I think I am coming to the point where that I will tell you that is that defaulters. Okay, is that Vaidyanathan, I think that is the vendors regarding this point. Then is there any impact on IFRS 12? What is this suggestion? IFRS is accounting standard. I don't know, there will not be any impact also. Anyway, because IFRS, I don't want to bring it because we have to understand the GST. Then afterwards, that is for your accounting. IFRS 12 is for only accounting. That is your tax liability. Okay. Yeah. This creates a problem for taxpayers who make purchases. If you are going to purchase from QRMP, then if the vendors have a problem, then you will be having a problem in availing the input tax credit. Because already I have come to the next one, GSTR 2A to be introduced. What is the confusion, etc. You will understand that. Next, when a buyer purchases goods from a QRMP taxpayer, I am clarifying now. The buyer might have to wait until the end of the quarter to claim ITC. Even after the quarter, if the vendors do not comply with that, the person who is buying the goods from the QRMP taxpayer will have a problem of availing the input tax credit. That is the first point. The reason for the same is that a small taxpayer can upload the invoices and complete the GSTR1 filing only after the quarter is completed only. So this process would cause a delay in claiming ITC. I have already told you. So if there is a vendor problem, not complying with that, the purchaser will have a problem in availing the input tax credit, and the buyer can claim input only when the invoices appears. GSTR 2B. I will come to GSTR 2B, which has been introduced also. So always this is linked to your input tax credit also. Next, the IF has been introduced under QRMP scheme to remove these hardships, allowing the QRMP taxpayers to upload selective or all B2B invoices on the GST portal using because you know under IFF automatically first 2 months it gets uploaded, and next in the last month you have to file it in GSTR1. So automatically once you do that, comply with that, probably availing the input tax credit bar the purchaser may not be a problem at all. So it helps the buyers in claiming ITC without any delay. This is so far as the input furnishing. First 2 months there is no problem, automatically gets uploaded in GSTR1. So the purchaser can avail the input tax credit if he is opting for payment of monthly and all those things. Then in the last quarter you have to enter in GSTR1. So automatically it takes care of your GSTR 2A, 2B claiming and all those things about the invoice furnishing facility. What is the details to be submitted? Now we'll come to that. The following details are to be submitted by the small taxpayers if they ask for invoice furnishing facility. What details are required to be there? Number one, B2B invoices, details of the sale transactions, both interstate and intrastate also, being corresponding tables 4A, 4B, 4C, 6B, and 6C of GSTR1. GSTR1, you have to perfectly do that. If you make a mistakes in GSTR1, you will end up in a problem at the time of filing the annual return, I'll tell you. So be careful. Fill up all these columns, that is 4A, 4B, 4C. That is intrastate, interstate, then intrastate, others. Then all those things you have to be very careful in entering GSTR1 details. Next, debit notes and credit notes towards the B2B invoices used during the month, that is being corresponding table 9B of GSTR1, you have to enter that. Then respective amendments to B2B, see what will happen, some amendments are going to be made to the invoices also. Then B2BA and debit note and credit notes, CDN credit notes issued, and that is about the column it is talking about that. Okay. Then being corresponding to tables 9A and 9C of the GSTR1 has to be done also. Then it is important to note that the taxpayer should upload all the B2C invoices of the quarter while filing quarterly GSTR1 also. See, earlier we are now the earlier existing system, question of uploading the B2 invoices does not arise at all. Now under the new scheme, all the B2C invoices also required to be uploaded filing quarterly return GSTR1. So at the time of filing GSTR1, all the B2C invoices also required to be uploaded. This is a new scheme specifically to earlier whatever in regular scheme B2C invoices nobody will upload. But in QRMP, because of the tax liability under the two methods, it is very important to upload the B2C invoices in the quarterly GSTR1 return. Advantages. As somebody has asked me, what is the advantage beneficial of the government? Advantages only to the people only. Any late upload of B2B invoices beyond 13th of the next month. This is for, see, normally GSTR1 is for 11th, but B2B IFF, B2B invoices 13th of the next month, cutoff date for the month will never attract any late fee, unlike GSTR1. However, the registered buyers may at the most lose an input tax credit for that month as it gets deferred to the next month. Immediately input tax credit may not be able to use it, avail and use it also. So you have to end up in paying the tax only in liability. Electronic cash ledger only has to be used. So that is the advantage. Maximum the question of no late fee and all those things, but only the input tax credit may not be available immediately. Then it is an optional and flexible also. It was chosen in the first month of a specific quarter. There is no rule that it must be chosen for the second month of the same quarter. You have to understand that. So buyers of goods from small taxpayers can claim ITC on a monthly basis also. The B2B sales details uploaded on IFF will get reflected or auto-populated into the relevant quarterly GSTR1. This I already discussed also. So thereby removing the need to re-enter the details automatically. One of the very important advantage is that once you opt for invoice furnishing facility, GSTR1 uploading will make easy also because automatically it gets uploaded in GSTR1 details. So these are all about the QRMP and IFF goes together and what are the advantages, disadvantages. Continue with that. One more query. It pushes for a monthly reconciliation of data and that will ultimately make quarterly return filing easier. Once you opt for IFF, it makes easier for you to reconciliation also. Okay. Reverse charge, this is anonymous. Somebody has asked reverse charge. Reverse charge continues to be there also. Given under the QRMP also, reverse charge wherever the specified services, QRMP or RCM has to be paid on a regular only. Okay. Suresham, regarding 9 and 9C, I will come to that. I will reply it also. 9C has been removed. Then coming to CMA mate. In case of the files GSTR 3B with late fee and later government waives off, once the money given to the government, question of getting back does not arise. See, as on the date, if there is no relaxation, you have to pay. And then afterwards, if you ask for return, all those things does not arise at all. Okay. It is very simple also. Once you, at the time of, if there is any notification, then waive off. Otherwise, once you paid and then later, retrospective payment and all those things will not be there in government at all. I think he is asking a funny query. I will tell you who is that. This is CMA maint, RR maint. Once amount paid, question of refunding or whatever it is, it will not arise. Please. Okay. Come back to the ultimately make quarterly return filing easier. Small taxpayers can improve their business by providing faster ITC claims. ITC will becomes easier because auto-populated, etc. Then the QRMP taxpayer has only submitted the B2B data on IFF by 13th of the next month, but forgotten to furnish filing IFF for the month by 13th. Then he will still be allowed to file IFF after 13th also, provided the data is already submitted on or before 13th. Once the data is submitted, filing can be later data also. Then eases the compliance burden by reducing the volume of invoices to be uploaded at the end of the quarter. IFF, invoice furnish facility, one of the advantages is that each time, for at least for first 2 months, so entering each and every invoice, the burden of uploading will not be there. Only in the last one, you have to take care of it. So automatically works also get reduced also for all the people. Okay. This move to help both small taxpayers and buyers from small taxpayers. They indirectly helps small taxpayers to enhance their business by providing this already discussed also. This may increase the compliance cost for them. Sometimes because you have to do all those things, compliance means a person manpower is increases. So that is about the cost. Then the data must be segregated to B2B and non-B2B. It's already we have to do that also, because I don't know, this question came also, but that is why I am including. See, as a person who is practicing GST indirect taxes, bifurcating B2B and B2C invoices is a must also for our accounting also. So there we have to treat that about it. On the IFF, once the invoices are uploaded and filed on IFF, it gets auto-populated in GSTR 1 already there. Okay, it is non-edible. It cannot be editable or deletable. Once it be automatically enters IFF, it goes to GSTR 1. And then afterwards, it is not possible also GST system. Any changes will have to be followed by debit notes and credit notes, dear friends. So once one has to make a comparison between the benefit of opting for IFF and the cost involved. You have to see what is the manpower involved. People is to be then. You have to sit there and all those things. So work is there. So you have to see all those things whether before opting for this also. If already people are regularly following, uploading and all those things, then IFF, all those things, so it automatically sometimes you get reduced also manpower utilization. So it is good to opt in for this facility if the QRMP taxpayer raises comparatively larger volume, because the volumes of business is more in B2B invoices, it reduces your work also than B2C invoices. You have to see your B2B is more or B2C is more. Depending upon that, you have to opt for that. If your B2B invoices are very, very high compared to B2C, opt for IFF and reduce the work of uploading the invoices in the GSTR1 also. Then the impact on business relations with the registered customers must be understood well. You have to have a contact with your vendors and suppliers also, customers also. So these are all things that is under IFF. So that is about the QRMP, and then IFF, monthly payment, etc. Now I will move on to other area. QR code has been introduced by CBIC. It is a type of two-dimensional barcode. It is applied for the items invoices for presenting information in the machine readable format. There are two types of QR code, namely static and dynamic. This is a little bit technical aspect. So people have to understand a little bit on also. So because digitalization, we are talking about the digitalization. So as a result of that, QR code system has been introduced. Okay. Chetan Gandhi, whether QRMP scheme is beneficial or detrimental to the taxpayers. See, QRMP system has been introduced, that is Chetan Gandhi. It is only to benefit the small taxpayers only. Question of detriment, it is cannot say detrimental. See, in order to monitor the GST, one should have the understanding also. It is only to make the small taxpayers to reduce their compliance matter only if this system has been introduced. So what will happen? Automatically it is beneficial. The question of detrimental not there. If any detrimental is there, there's no question of. Then Nagarjuna sir under QRMP scheme, whether we need to upload B2C. I already told you about B2C invoices. See, in the last quarter, B2C invoices must be uploaded. I already clarified in one of my slides also about this. So even B2C invoices are required to be uploaded because then only it is possible for you to monitor all those things. Okay, that I already clarified about that. So coming on to that QR code now, back to that. With a view to promote digitalization, dynamic quick response code, QR code and dynamic QR code is adopted under GST. Some of the benefits of dynamic QR code is highlighted here and there. Now, what is that? Dynamic QR code is unique. It little bit technical only. The buyer or the payee is not permitted to change the value amount. This is see normally not of manipulation. Indirect tax means manipulation. I will tell you. People do lot of manipulations. So to overcome that, to cut down that practice of manipulating, this system of code has been introduced. So once you adopt QR code, you cannot manipulate the invoices or whatever it is there, because automatically depending upon the invoice HSN code, the tax rates and all those things will be there. Question of manipulating will be cut down to the taxpayers. That is why QR code has been introduced. The amount mentioned payable can easily be paid using UPI because digital payment. Once you opt for that, automatically you can make the payment UPI, whatever it is there. In the case of B2B invoices, the e-invoicing QR code will be generated by invoice registration portal. Already portal is there. Based on the e-invoice details, reported submitted to the invoice registration portal. There will separate register. IFF is a separate portal also applicable that I know. So these are all the facilities available. QR code also is inbuilt there. In the case of B2B invoices, the registered person who is required to comply with the e-invoicing provisions will automatically get generated QR code from the invoice registration portal. So it is not a manual, completely automatically controlled in the GST registration portal. That is invoice. See, GST portal is one, and once you opt for QRMP, then go for the IFF QR code, then automatically this QR code is to be taken care of. That. What are the QR code details? Not discussed about that. GSTN one of the supplier, GSTN of the recipient, invoice number, date of generation of the invoice. You all those things cannot be changed. Cannot question of manipulation does not arise. You will not be you cannot do anything all those things. Invoice value, especially value, section 16 of the CGST Act. Then HSN code of the main item. Number of the line items, there will be subcodes also. Unique invoice reference number automatically gets generated. Then it is important to mention here that the supplier is mandatorily required to print the QR code. Otherwise, it is a default. Please note that it is mandatory. Invoice registration portal, once it is there, automatically QR code becomes compulsory. Applicability, are talking about that. B2B transactions supplying goods, services are both by a registered person to another registered person. B2B. QR code is mandatory for all the registered persons to whom e-invoicing provisions are applicable. The QR code will be generated by the invoice registration portal itself. Next to B2C transactions. That is, supplier is the registered person, receiver is an unregistered person. QR code is applicable to the registered person only having an aggregate turnover of more than 500 crores. Still it has come, but it is postponed also. It is effective from 1st December, but it is again postponed also. Only about that. This is about that. There is some exemption for the QR code. The following list of persons are exempted from using the QR code: insurance company, banking company, and financial institution. And NBFCs, non-banking financial company, NBFCs, GTA, Good Transport Company Agency, a person engaged in passenger transport, then services in relation to admission to an exhibition of the, that is theaters, multiplex theaters, so they are exempted from QR code because that is controlling the people is very, very difficult also, number of people will be there and all those things. So as a result of that, it is exempted for this category of people. Is exempted irrespective, their turnover not the question. In case of insurance, so banking company and non-banking GTA services, so there's a number of customers are enumerated, located also. So it is not possible to control. So as a result of that, this is exempted for that. That is about the compliance with regard to QRMP and all those things. Now I'll get what is the latest thing that in respect of the ITC. Okay, one query, please wait. Query anonymous, I don't know who is that. Within how much time we should generate IRN from the invoice date? If delayed, no. Once it automatically IR is generated, Mr. Question or no question of time also. QR code is automatically generated. Then Ravi, if IFF is optional and flexible for taxpayers, whether IFF becomes mandatory in future, it may be because already e-invoicing facility has been introduced, Mr. Ravi. So because it is only on a MSME sector, IFF to help all those things is there. And people who are the large turnover, definitely it is going to be mandatory because entering as and when you generate the invoices automatically gets uploaded also. Because for example, I have a client where in a monthly about 1,000 or 2,000, 5,000 invoices will be there. So definitely it is going to be a system also automatically. It is going to be permanent only. It is only QRMP as a just and trial basis introduced for the MSME sector. Then later it will be extended to all the category of the taxpayers. We have to also registration to be, if in doing GST work in my office, sir, we have, what is this anonymous? We have also to be registration in GST now. In doing GST work in my office, you do a GST work if you are for doing a GST work, registration is required. Only the taxpayer has to get a registration. Why for doing a registration GST work, no registration is required. You are only acting for your client only. That is all. The next topic is the input tax credit, burning issue for all the people. Okay, each and every time people will be suffering on all those things. So input tax credit, section 16.1, 16.2, 16.3, 16.4. Read with 36.4 also. So lot of sections are probably confusions also. Day by day, every time it is amendments will be made and referred to. Two important amendments that is made immediately. One is earlier GSTR 2A was there. Now the CBIC has introduced GSTR 2B also. So Finance Bill 21 Finance Act budget available to the taxpayers only if the supplier has uploaded the invoice in GSTR 1. It is applicable to all the category. I'm not talking about large or small, everybody. And filed it within the due date and the invoice is reflecting in the GSTR 2B of the taxpayer. I will just tell you GSTR 2A, it is already there. Earlier we used to take input tax credit based on the GSTR 2A. We are never ignored also GSTR 2A for so many times. 2019 October onwards, GSTR 2A has been made mandatorily. I'll go to the history. Restricting the input tax credit to the 20% and of the GSTR 2A available because lot of defaults will be there from the suppliers also. So in order to cut down this non-compliance on the part of the suppliers, 36.4 has been introduced new rule, CGST rules 2017, 36.4 has been introduced. I will discuss about that later. So to curtail the suppliers to non-compliance with regard to uploading the invoices, because you have to have a transparency also. I will discuss about that also. And 16.1, 16.2, 16.3 may not be there, RCM, 16.4 conditions for availing the input tax credit. All those things are required to be understood here in respect of the ITC. So if there is a mismatch in GSTR1 and GSTR3B, from the beginning I am telling you, comparison, that is reconciliation between GSTR1 and GSTR is a must do. Even at the end of the financial year, when the time at the filing with the annual return GSTR9, you have to do that. So instead of that, on a monthly basis, you have to have a reconciliation between GSTR1 and GSTR3B. Then notice will be issued. Mismatch, if it is mismatch, automatically so many notices have been issued also. From 2019, I'm talking to you also. So the is not satisfied with the SSC's reply, then does not reply also within the prescribed time, the jurisdiction officer and cancellation of the registration. This is a very, very serious issue, because from 2017 I am dealing with all those things. So if there is a mismatch, at least at the time of filing the annual return, you used to reconcile also 1 and 3B. Now automatically on a monthly basis, you have to reconcile between GSTR1 and 3B by the taxpayer. Otherwise, it results in a cancellation of the GST registration. Then, propose to insert the new law, that is section 16.2 of this time talking about that. 16.2 is the conditions for availing the input tax credit. There are a lot of conditions. What is the conditions of 16.2? Just recollect it. That is receipt of goods and services, documentation, and then payment also made by all those things. So their condition continues to be there also conditions. And then goods and services used in the business or in furtherance of business. In the business or furtherance of business. These are all conditions under section 16.2. But still, in order to cut down, new rules have been made under section 36, rule 36.4 of the CGST rules. Additional requirement to claim ITC based on 2A. 2A is there from the beginning, but nobody used to comply with that also for the purpose of availing the input tax credit. So, and newly introduced GSTR2B, ITC on the invoice or debit note can be availed only when details of such invoices, debit notes have been furnished by the supplier. Where the supplier default will result in a non-availment of input tax credit by the purchaser. I am facing this problem also, because you cannot escape from the responsibility and the compliance liability to file the GSTR1. Otherwise, your customer will have a problem. That is why you will lose the business. That's all. If you make a so complying GSTR1 is a must in order to make, in a case of, especially in case of a B2B transactions, in order to avail the input tax credit. This is very, very important. Now, after that, rule 36 ban inserted, restricting earlier, only 5% only. Now earlier it was restricted to 20% of the input tax credit available in GSTR2A before introduction of GSTR2B now. Then afterwards they have reduced to 10%. Now it is only 5%. So 105% of the available in GSTR2A, you are eligible to take the input tax credit. Now GSTR2B also has been eligible. What is eligible? I will tell you, I'll compare it also about that notification also, which have been defined in January 1, 2001. 2B has been introduced. Art of confusion by the taxpayers. Two types of auto-populated returns, that is 2A, details of auto-populated drafted replies, auto-drafted ITC statement. 2A is what is that? Whatever GSTR1 files within that 11th of the subsequent month, it will appear in GSTR2A. 2B is not like that. Your eligibility. Ineligibility 17.5, 42, rule 42, 43, so many things are there. So eligibility of input tax credit is required to be checked with the GSTR2B. Lot of confusion whether I should follow 2A or 2B. So I will come to that later, I'll tell you. So 2B is the perfect document for the purpose of availing without any deviation and attract notices from the department. Both the statement reflect details of the inward supplies as well as details of an input tax credit. So It covers the same details required to understand the distinction. Which statement? Now question comes whether I should follow 2A or 2B. So which statement should be taken as a base for input task credit? I will tell you about that. So 2A, I'll discuss 2A and then come to 2B. 2A is a system generated, auto-populated, return reflecting inward supplies, purchase all the purchases. Then it gets auto-generated based on details from the supplier, seller, counterpart by following returns. For all the general GSTR1, normal registered person, 5 is scales for non-resident, 6 is for the input service distributor, that is the distribution of input task rate by the head office, and then the tax filed by the TADS, tax deductor, TDS, government most of the time, and then e-commerce, TCS, tax collection source. All these people are required to follow compliance with GSTR 2A. Now, it also covers the details of the imported goods and in the SEZ only. Only SEZ, if you are buying a goods from SEZ, used to reflect in 2A. But what about imported? Imported goods were not covered at all. It was not at all coming in GSTR 2A. This form is also system generated 2B. What is the difference between? I'll tell you. Reflecting the input credit details, statement gets auto generated on the 12th because 11th is the date on which the GSTR1 due date. If any default is there, it will never appear in GSTR. You cannot take the input tax credit at all. So in form GSTR 2B are auto populated on the basis of the following returns. That is GSTR1, 5, 6, which I have discussed. And very important change from GSTR 2A to 2B is the imported vice gate. Whatever the bill of entry submitted in, so automatically you are eligible to take that bill of entries in case of vice gate customs. What is the comparison? 2A. Dynamic as it changes from day to day because depending upon the GSTR filing, it changes. But 2B is only static or constant only. It will not change also from one month to another. So automatically your eligibility is only to bill from GSTR 2B only. Then monthly you have to do that. Source of information GSTR. Then difference between 2A and 2B is that information in addition to 156 ice gate system for the purpose of imported. Earlier it was not there in 2A. So automatically what will happen? Your input tax credit on the imported goods and services. Services will not be problem, but goods. When you file the bill of entry, automatically you are eligible for the ice gate. You are when to submit the bill of entry, it reflects in ice gate also system. So it takes care of for filing the input tax credit. The generation 2B is also generated based on the SK system. Imported goods, earlier it was not there. It is available in GSTR 2B. For time ice gate system, that is a very, very important system that is changed between 2A and 2B. The examples I am giving now, what is and how you have to do that. Invoice date, for example, I have just given this example. 25 to 21 is the invoice date. Month of February. GSTR1 has to be done February. What is the due date? Next month 11th. So 2A it will appear in February. 2B also it will appear in February because you are complying in the first case. Next case, 25 to 21, but reported in GSTR in the month of March. Once you report in the month of March, GSTR filed in the April filed for the month of March. 2A appears in the month of March. 2B also appears in the month of March. Then go to the same for the month of February. You file in April. There is the default also. What will happen? 2A used to come because auto-populated invoices. Now it will happen March only. You are eligible for 2B. So what will happen? And I'll tell you. In case of a GSTR 2B, for the purpose of monitoring, always we have to look into GS2B because there is eligibility, ineligibility also will be there. That is the important document. Better to monitor 2A 105%. Section 36(4) rule amended, but for the purpose of a perfect comparison is to take GSTR 2B as the base in order to fulfill the provisions of 36 because we have to comply with 36(4) rule also. Otherwise, immediately you will get a notice also. That is the moment you file your GSTR 3B availing the input tax credit not in accordance with GSTR 2A 2B, immediately you will get a notice. So what will happen? GSTR to be reflect the eligible input tax credit. So poorly, if you take that GSTR to be input tax credit, you will not be involving any of the problems so far as this is concerned. So because GSTR to be constant only, it will not change at all. Static, and hence the same can be taken as a base. Now my advice, or I am also doing that, instead of GSTR to a taking, find out 5%, etc. and then next to monitor all those things. Lot of problem also. The supplier will default in not filing the GSTR one, etc. So it is better to go for GSTR to be automatically, it gives you eligibility of the input tax credit, etc. So it is auto reflecting figures in an input tax credit form GSTR 3B, and more than that, very important advantage, whatever the eligibility of the GSTR to be input tax credit, immediately when you file GSTR 3B, it shows in GSTR 3 input tax credit column also. So automatically it saves lot of non-compliance, lot of notices from the department also. For example, if GSTR 3B, automatically if you open whatever there in GSTR 2B input tax credit appears in GSTR 3B automatically. So that board government has not come, but still now I'll tell you, CBIC still not clarified all those things. Still confusion is going on in the industry, 2A, 2B and although, but 2A is restricted to 36.4 rule, that is 105%. So 5% is monitoring is a very tedious job. So to overcome all those things, to be followed better on this. So with this, I have closed my presentation. Now I will go to just I'll see once one. Now there are some queries also. I'll just, there are some queries. Is it some anonymous, all those things. So before closing my answer, I'll give you some clarifications also. Okay, about that. Then 1 second. Now it must be, what is that? Is it a must to generate IRN for B2C invoices also? If yes, when caused in January, it was not applicable for to turnover 100 crores or 500 crores. No, 500 crores continue to be there also, but for whenever a person opting for IFFO, QR code is a must also. Okay, so input that is IRN for 2BC. What is it? Generate IRN, invoice generation. What is that? I don't know. Okay, so it continues to be there also for others also. Can we take credit of invoice dated January 21 and shown in 2B of the same month, received by us in the month of March 21? But one point I want to tell you here, you have to comply with section 16(2) conditions for availing input tax credit. What is the important condition for 16(2) under that? There are so many conditions. What is that? First condition is to have a document. See, all other things appearing in GSTR to be availing the input tax credit is a different. That is only makes eligible for that 16(1) eligibility criteria. But 16(2) you have to fulfill. What is 16(2)? 16(2) is you should have a document. Without a document, you cannot avail the input tax credit at all. For example, in this case, you are telling the month of March. So you cannot avail for the month of January. So if you are receiving the invoice later without a document, read with 2B, all those things. See, you have to always, when you talk about that, 16(1) and 16(2). 16(2) is the conditions for availing the input tax credit. Read with 16(1). Section 16(1) of CGST Act. So without a document, you cannot avail the input tax credit. Next. From which date ITC as per 2A is allowed? Removing fire is continue to be there, sir. What is there? It is all simple. Which date already? That is the last, I think October. 2020 onwards, there is 5% has been made. It will continue to be there. Earlier also, it was 20% reduced to 10%. Even last COVID period also, last financial year, the 5% has been made. You have to continue to be there also. Okay. If we have taken GST credit in April 20, month in which goods are received, invoice date is also same month, but vendor shown this invoice in September 21 GSTR, you cannot avail. You cannot avail the input as credit because you are defaulted, your supplier has defaulted in filing the GSTR1. So this is again subject to 5% of the GSTR2. Okay. So if you are going to, if our supplier filing in GSTR21, GSTR1, how can you avail the input tax credit? It is not possible at all. So April 20, that is after 1 year. September 20 is the year in which the annual return is due date comes. So only after filing the annual return, rectifying all those things, you know that for April 20, 2021, March, you have to make all adjustments and changes in the month of September return for all those things. Only when he does all those things, you are eligible to take the input tax credit. Otherwise, you will not. What if we taken GST credit in April 20? Already I replied that. Do we need to pay interest if a vendor shows lately any invoice in his year? Yes, I have already told you. First of all, you cannot take the input tax credit. If the vendor files input, then if you are going to use it, then the only reversal comes. You have to reverse it. There, if you are going to use it, and you have to pay the interest also. That is there. Confusion is there. Lot of legal problems are also there, whether the interest to be paid and all those things. But if you are taking and using, then interest liability arises also. Okay. What facility GST inform the vendor about missing? You have to comply. That is all. Missing invoices, you have to completely monitor also. When you get the invoices, you have to monitor also whether the supplier vendor is filing GSTR1 also. This is what you have to do the work. Then invoice wrongly date is mentioned and March 19, but the same invoice is shown in the April 19 GS. These are all checking. You have to, before doing annual return, you have to correct it. Because it is already, you are talking about 9 and 10 annual return time is already over and all those things. Okay. Can we take 5% extra credit on imported goods? Imported IGST also. But it is not imported or inland. Total credit available in GSTR 2A, take the total, and if you have a documentation, if you have received the goods, if you have received the services, you can avail the input tax credit subject to that 5% restriction. There's no imported goods or whatever it is there. Total credit available in GSTR 2A. You please note that in GSTR 2A, imported goods are not available at all. Imported goods is have a bill of entry for having the imported the goods. So based on that, you can take, and in here GSTR 3B, there is a separate column for indicating the input tax credit availed on imported goods also. So there you have to take care of and mention also. Okay. If you purchase from SEZ, then also it should come in GA. Yeah, now 2A earlier also it is coming. Even 2B also now SEZ also is coming. Okay. Earlier in 2A it was coming also SEZ because they are also same. Now in 2B also it is coming, and you can avail the input tax credit based on it. Okay. So coming on to GSTR 9 and 9C as a CMA. GSTR 9 is a reconciliation statement to be certified by the chartered accountant and cost accountants. Probably you are aware that 2-3 months back, the government has issued a notification removing 9C, compulsory audit. A reconciliation statement is self-certification basis. One has to pay, file that is all. Okay. So as on that, 19 and 20 is the last year for which the GSTR 9 and 9C both are applicable compulsory. If you have already filed for 19 and 20, 2021 9C audit report is not applicable, not doing, you do not do anything. But only thing, for 9 filing also, the taxpayer may require the services of a professional, so you have to do that, you can do that. But 9C audit report, reconciliation statement duly signed by the CR CMA, not required now, but the taxpayer has to do it on a self-certification basis. So far as the 9C is there, but auditor is not required. It will be done on a self-certification basis. I hope with this changes, whatever that you can go on discuss. I will tell you there are number of notices have been issued by CBIC. So many notices have been issued by CBIC. So each and every day I will be getting the notices also. So about that. Sir, is it correct to penalize the fault of suppliers, default to failure? This all there, sir. I am also facing. If your supplier is defaulted, how can you penalize by yourself? Penalize only, you have to tell them that you will discontinue your business with him. Then automatically you will comply with that also. Initially, you will have a lot of problem also. Even in some of my clients also talking, sir, if my supplier has not failed, what I can do on that? It is also there. See, these are all things one has to be complied also. Because later, I think this is what I don't know. So anonymous, somebody has mentioned that. Okay. So if your supplier is inefficient, take up with him your supplier. So probably you have to tell them that you will not do business with him. So automatically, immediately, you will do that also. Now what will happen, from January onwards, whatever people are defaulting also, same when the 5% 36(4) rule introduced, lot of people who are defaulting in GST on one file started doing also. At least if 1 month is not there, at least in the next month, you have to wait for that also, input as credit. For example, last week I got a call. One of my client has a 8 lakhs input tax credit. The supplier has not filed GSTR1. I told him, no, you cannot use it also. See, otherwise you will end up in penalty, interest too. You have to reverse it also with interest to a lot of things also will be there if you are going to use it also. Last time I got a notice about 44 lakhs rupees input tax credit availed without filing the GSTR1 by the supplier. I have to reverse. Then he has asked me, sir, you pay interest. Why I should pay? I have not used. I have balance on that day also. Now also I have balance. So I will reverse. I will not pay interest. If you want, you can give me the notice also. That is all closed the issue. Yeah. Anything else? So many issues is a warning issue for all the CMS. But only thing you have to concentrate, follow it up on a daily basis, because each and every day you will get notices also. And then go to some study cases also, whatever it is there and all those things. There is one more query has come. Let me see. Earlier, SEZ invoice were not coming in 2A, please. No. Earlier, SEZ was there also. Only thing they used to file the returns also. SEZ also required to file because SEZ is located in DTA only. Earlier also it was coming also. Only imported goods were not coming. Okay, that is about that. Earlier SEZ invoice were not coming in 2A, please. That is only SEZ people alone. They were not aware of the provision. No, they were not filing and all those things. So that is why it was not coming in 2A. No, that is not a problem at all now. Because even when you buy the goods in SEZ, you have to go for ICE gate. Then automatically it will appear in GSTR today. That problem is solved also. Okay. Yeah. So I think with this, I thank for all the clarifications. I hope I have clarified all the points. But each and every clarification, whatever point, depends upon the actual transaction wise also. So you cannot give a perfect query and all those things to reply, because we have to go into the details and then reply circumstances and all those things. So depending upon the circumstances, it is required to be taken a decision. So confusion prevails also, because any system in this will have a problem also. Even 2017, how much we have struggled also, lot of struggles we have made also. So no, because day by day this is are going to be introduced also. These are all coming also. It is not new, only new in our country. I have seen, because in so many other countries already 20-25 years are over GST introduction. They have all streamlined also. So all those things are coming to our because of the digitalization system also. So we have to come across, we have to go with that, and then understand each day, get educated each day on all those things. Okay. So I think with this, I close my discussion for the day. Thank you very much. If anybody wants still some queries also, you can send it, and if I receive in my WhatsApp number, I will reply it also. Okay. Thank you very much.